Okay, 10 minutes to go. Ah,
coffee.
Yeah, I need to change my audio.
Coffee is always a good idea.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yep. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Cool. I found the headphones.
Awesome. Just messaged the other guys. You guys were all earlier than me last week, so I thought you guys would all be
Ready to
here.
go.
Yeah, that's fine. So what were we talking about yesterday?
A lot of stuff.
Yeah, I think I was thinking about it. A good thing to do on the podcast might be to have a theme every week or every 2 weeks or every 3 weeks or every month or however long we actually publish a podcast or the publishing timetable, but um to have a theme that's like 1 week is why is the theory of relativity so important to electric vehicles? You know, first you say, what is relativity? What is special relativity and general relativity? And how is it used in transportation even before electric vehicles? And then you say to yourself, well, how important is it now that you've got an electric vehicle, right? I'm going to do this because this arm keeps falling down on me. How do I just get it to stay right there? These screws are not. They're not. Oh, there. It stayed. Cool. And now I need to get this one to stay. But this one's broken. Okay, where are the other guys?
Yeah. So, theory of relativity. I'll have to brainstorm other podcast ideas too. Maybe we could do like some kind of compiled history of the electric car.
Yeah, I was thinking we could do that for the episode all about the EV1. And I might try to track down some of the people from that documentary, because I have, as we were talking about yesterday in that documentary, there's the whole GM car, the EV1, right? And one of the people featured in that movie is a person by the name of Chelsea Sexton. She's so prominently featured in that movie because she got that job when she was 17. And so she's been in electric vehicles her entire adult life. And so that's why she was so prominently featured as like the face of the sales floor. And she's still involved in electric vehicles. I have her email, but now she's pretty busy with Fully Charged, which is the big YouTube channel, like the largest electric vehicle YouTube channel there is. So Joel is the person she passes on all of that Plug in America stuff to now. as you probably read in that email that I sent to Barbara Chevalier from East King County PUD.
Hmm.
Um,
I think I remember.
yeah, she's like, yeah, contact Joel. And yeah, I mean, I will uh, when I have Plug in America stuff from now on. But if it's about the EV1, I would hope that I mean, I want to kind of do like a Radiolab type episode about the EV1.
Hmm.
You know, that'd be cool.
Yeah, for sure. It's a very interesting thing that happened there. And from what I've heard, it was like a prototype to see the how the markets would respond to the electric car, and from what I heard, it did too well and scared people that were oil people, right? And then that's why they were like, okay, we have to shut this thing down uh, to not make it like grow like wildfire and screw everything up, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah. That is one of the reasons. I'd say that's probably the main reason is because it was scary. What really in the documentary, what really made the difference between the EV1 and the other electric vehicles of the past, like the early 1900s, the 1800s, was the battery, nickel magnesium hydride battery.
Mm-hmm.
That battery, uh, at the end of the EV1's life cycle, was actually bought by, guess who?
Toyota.
Uh, it was bought by Texaco.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah, the gas
Okay.
company.
Yeah.
And they did everything in their power to shut that shit down. And I think Toyota did have it for a little while. I'm not sure.
If I think I'm almost sure because I read this on their website like last week. I think Priuses still use nickel hydride batteries.
Hmm. Is it nickel hydride or nickel magnesium hydride? I think it isn't. Is it? Oh, I'm confused now. I thought it was NIMH, but
I'm pretty sure, and I was really surprised by that. Uh, um, nickel metal hydride. So
nickel metal hydride. So yeah, NIMH. I thought it was nickel magnesium hydride. Nickel
yeah,
metal.
and I've
What?
heard that they're really bad for the earth, but I don't know how much better lithium ion is than nickel hydride.
The thing about lithium ion uh, is not that the see lithium is a mineral. It's mined from the ground, so it is part of the earth.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I guess you could say the same thing about oil when it's not being burned. If it's just sitting there in a pool, there are pools of naturally aspirated um, oil, right? But when you burn the oil, that's what makes it harmful to the environment. The thing about lithium is its mining practices, and that's why somebody might say that it's harmful to the environment. But really, the most harmful part about lithium mining is the brine flats, and what essentially brine is uh, another mineral that you get when you process a mineral over a liquid, right? So you get behind this salty stuff. So wherever you have your brine pool, you're gonna have to make sure that you have enough space where no life exists uh, already. Like say, a desert or some similar, something like that, and then you're not actually harming the environment. But when I say that, there are types of sage grouse and lizards and geckos and snakes that do live in steppe uh, or desert environments. Um, you use quite a bit of water to do the processing process. I don't know what to call that, at a lithium mine. Um, but what you can do with that water is hopefully, I mean, since you're only using it for one purpose, you can recycle it. But most, I don't believe, lithium mines do that.
Mm.
Um, um, I want to go to Bolivia to see for myself more in depth about the process, and I'm trying to organize that with Elvin Delgado. Elvin Delgado probably would have the most accurate information. He's the dean of the energy management program, or I'm not sure if it's dean or uh, director, but yeah, he's a professor here. He created the energy management program, and that's out of the science rather than the engineering uh, discipline. What's up, Ben?
What's up?
How you doing?
Pretty good.
Where's Jacob?
I don't know. I didn't join for a few minutes. I was sitting there waiting for like the meeting to pop up, but then I realized I had to go like find the scheduled event. So maybe he's stuck like I was. I found it eventually.
Did you get the link in the email that I sent out?
Oh, okay. I guess I could have just done it from there. Does that take me straight to it? I just opened the app.
Yeah. If you click on that link, it'll take you straight to it.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. I just sent another text to Jacob saying, "Hey, check your email," or
Right.
it's an email link. So yeah, we were just talking about the brining process for lithium ion.
So what I'm getting from this is essentially that the lithium mining process creates a brine flat of like salty material that kills the surrounding wildlife, and that is kind of a problem.
I mean, again, if there was no wildlife there to begin with, then it's not a problem. What the big problem is that you got this big puddle of briny water.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That happens with a lot of kinds of mining, doesn't it? Didn't that happen back with like gold mines and stuff? I feel like I heard something about that.
Well, I wouldn't imagine it happen. I wouldn't imagine there's a whole lot of brining happening in a gold mine unless the surrounding deposits are made up of minerals that create that brine, right?
Okay.
Because what gold is, it's just an ore in the ground, right?
Right.
Lithium, you kind of like there's something involved in it that you have to wash it, and then with something. I will Google this. Lithium brine. So, yeah, in order to extract lithium from brines, the salt-rich waters must first be pumped to the surface into a series of large evaporation ponds where solar evaporation occurs over a number of months. It is then treated with sodium carbonate, soda ash, thereby precipitating lithium carbonate. So actually, I think the brine is involved in the processing of lithium to get lithium?
So brine plus sunshine plus soda ash equals carbonate.
So most lithium is commercially produced from either the extraction of lithium containing salts from underground brine reservoirs or the mining of lithium containing rock, such as spodumene. Lithium production from clay sources is expected to become commercially viable, though perhaps not until 2022.
Hmm.
So, yeah, that's the more environmentally harmful practice. Um, even though even though what you're really talking about is you just have to find a place to set aside a huge like reservoir of dirty water, essentially.
Mhm.
So you have to make sure that the bottom of that reservoir is not going to leak out any water, right?
And then somehow clean it or do a water processing plant or something. I don't know.
Well, when I was talking about solar evaporation, so
Mhm.
basically you're heating off all of the water from that brine. You're
Oh.
essentially distilling it in the reservoir with natural sunlight.
Hmm.
Except
Interesting.
you're not taking what has been evaporated, which is what distilling is. You're taking what hasn't been evaporated, what's left over in the glass.
And then that's the brine. Or
Well, the
no.
brine is what was there first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then converting lithium into metal is done in an electrolytic cell using lithium chloride. The lithium chloride is mixed with potassium chloride in a ratio of 55% to 45% in order to produce molten eutectic, eutectic electrolyte. Potassium chloride is added to increase the conductivity of the lithium while lowering the fusion temperature.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Damn. There's a whole
Damn.
nother chemistry aspect to all of this that's like
Yeah.
next level. That's where the real advancements in the EV world are going to be, man.
Well, yeah, Joseph Key is actually going to be doing a segment on the podcast called Battery Talks. He says, as far as explanations for parallel and series, I like to use the water piping analogy. I agree, education is super important for effective changes to happen. Actually, I'm going to say, hey, Joe, you should just hop into the meeting we're having right now. Check the last EV Club email. So he may or may not come in. I'm not sure.
Cool.
He just sent me that email a couple minutes ago. You heard that ding go off in my background?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was his email. But yeah, batteries are a huge part of electric vehicles. And actually, we've been talking every now and then about John B. Goodenough and Maria Helena Braga, right?
Yes, I remember. Yeah. You tell me a little about them.
Yeah. So, Chase, do you know John B. Goodenough?
No, I don't.
So that's the UT Austin. And what they've done in the past few years, he and Maria Helena Braga, they're both, good enough as a professor at UT Austin. Maria Helena Braga was one of his doc students, or postdoc students a while back, and now she's her own professor in her own right at a different institution in South America, or Central America. I forget. But they came up with a way to basically induct either lithium or salt into glass as basically your cathode, right? It's really, really impressive. Basically, it's like not induct but inject. There we go. You're injecting lithium into glass, and that dramatically reduces, or well, it increases the potentiality of the battery by like 3 times, and it also decreases dendrite growth.
Ooh.
Yeah, and that's the big key about the lithium batteries is decreasing dendrite growth. Of course, with supercapacitors, you really the problem with supercapacitors isn't the same problem that you have with lithium ion. Supercapacitors basically is a big fancy way to say salt batteries, right? What you have with a supercapacitor is you have molten salt poured into a copper tube with a bottom, right? So it's a copper pipe end, and then you have a solid piece of copper down the center. Well, that's a very, very simple method to get a supercapacitor. But the problem with that is that over the course of like a year and a half, the when the energy is passing through those salt crystals, they just expand, and it gets so much to the point where it cracks the copper housing that it's been poured into, and now you don't have um, anything coming out of that because it's cracked the circuit. So you have a battery that could essentially last forever, but it cracks its house, and so yeah, it won't last forever because it kills itself. That's what
Okay.
that's what essentially all batteries, when they become degraded, that's what they do. They kill themselves in some sort of way, and it's all about crystal growth, some sort of crystal growth, right? Um, but
I like the
not
electrolyte.
not necessarily in liquid batteries. Um, in liquid batteries, one of the ways that they can kill themselves is gaseous buildup within the battery, and then it explodes. So exploding and crystal growth are two different methods of battery.
Hmm.
Crystal growth is a much more, I'd say, endothermic death, and explosions are obviously exothermic. But yeah, so that's why um, the 18650s that Tesla builds and the 1720s that Tesla builds, that they started making basically generation 2 or generation 3 of their own batteries, along with Panasonic. They designed 18650s and 1720s with little microscopic vent holes on the top, to provide an outlet for gaseous buildup, so it escapes through these vent holes. and that makes those batteries much safer than the original 18650s that they used in their first Tesla, which didn't have the vent holes. But I should remind you that those batteries in the original Tesla Roadster, they're perfectly fine. Just because you don't have the vent holes doesn't mean you can't thermally manage the batteries. It's just an extra layer of precaution to have those microscopic vent holes.
Hmm.
If you don't have that extra layer of precaution, you really need to have a very good BMS, a very good every now and then, is the coolant lines for the batteries will leak, and you'll see drip, drip, drip on the ground, and that's what's happened there. Is that your coolant line, it comes in from the top into the battery bank like that, and it's above the battery skateboard, and it curves down like that, and that little elbow is what usually tends to leak because it connects right there. um yeah, that's a anyways.
Yeah, because I've heard, I'm going to look it up right now, but I've heard that the Tesla batteries can last a long time.
Yeah. um uh After their original degradation of like from 100% to 80% of their original um uh battery life, well, they will then last at 80% if you actually drive sensibly. They will last 300 years, I believe. I
Wow.
could I could be slightly off on that figure. But there are batteries that people are coming out with. Well, there's a type of battery that's not actually a battery. It's a heat storage system, but they call it a battery. They call it the aluminum battery. But it's not a battery. It's a heat battery. Uh, but that one will last for 6,000 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it's 300 to 500,000 miles on the current Tesla batteries.
That's especially impressive because I heard like a big problem with the Nissan Leafs and stuff is that they don't last anywhere near that long. Like after a few years, you kind of need a new one sometimes.
So the reason why they say 300 to what'd you say, 300 to 500,000 miles?
Mm-hmm.
That's effectively because what a Tesla battery pack is, it's a bunch of individual 18650 cells, and quite possibly one or two of the cells will get a problem because of the law of the chaotic nature of the universe, right? So every now and then you're going to get a bad cell, um, possibly because a fly flew into the battery when it was being produced. A little grain of sand got in there. Somebody sneezed on it. Stuff like that. And then that one, it only takes one lithium ion cell to run too hot, explode, the rest of them will go up.
Okay,
Yeah,
gotcha.
that's why they say replace your batteries every so often. But if you're like somebody like Jehu Garcia, he hand builds his own packs in a method where he takes his little thermal camera He points it at the battery pack. He says, that one's running a little hot. Let me plop that out. He plops it out, and then he puts a new one in. And that's a lot. That's You don't need to replace the whole damn pack. But the difference between Tesla and Jehu is that Tesla insulates their batteries with coolant canals, if that makes sense. So they put all of the 18650 cells into a plastic pack, and on either side of the plastic pack, the coolant runs through these channels. And that's what is keeping those 18650s cool or warm, depending on the ambient temperature. But yeah, that's why Tesla just says to replace the whole damn pack. Is yeah.
Okay.
And from what I hear, it can warm it up too, not just cool it.
Yeah, I just mentioned that depending on the ambient temperature. So in winter, okay, the thing about lithium ion batteries is that they want to be kept close to human temperatures, really. I mean, they perform the best in the same temperatures that humans perform the best. They will still perform at colder temperatures and warmer temperatures, but they perform the best at around the same temperatures that humans do. And in the winter, when lithium ion gets cold, that is when it performs the worst. Um, uh, and so that's why you want to heat it up. And like for a Tesla, what you have on your phone, on your Tesla app, is you have this little thing that says preheat my Tesla. You can schedule it to preheat at a certain time every day during the winter, or you can wake up and you have 45 minutes to eat your cereal, take a shower, you know, like say goodbye to the kids when they're getting on the school bus. As soon as you get up, you roll over, you go to your phone, you say preheat Tesla, right? And then it not only preheats the cabins, but it makes sure that your batteries are at optimal temperature. But what most people don't know is that the batteries are actually always being thermally managed. Always. So if you leave a Tesla in a single spot for long enough, it will die. It will, because it takes a little bit of energy to manage those batteries at the right temperature. It's always being managed.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Okay.
It says here that on cleantechnica.com that a battery only lost 2% of total capacity after 50,000 miles.
Yeah, that's because they were probably charging within the right ratio or percentage. You don't want to charge all the way to 100% all the time. You want to charge somewhere to 60 to 80%.
Really?
And
Why is that?
because the more you charge it to 100%, the more dendrite growth happens, right? And the more you get down to zero, it is very bad, right? If you get to absolute zero, that's when the gases build up and you explode, right? That's without being impacted by something else, is when it gets down to absolute zero.
Right.
The thing about what a battery management system does is also known as a BMS. What that does is it takes every single individual cell, and it's not looking at the temperature of the batteries. it's looking at the electricity going in and out, right? So the current going in and out of these batteries, and the actual potentiality of each individual battery. So it's not looking at the temperature; it's looking at the numbers. And what that battery management system does is it makes sure that all of those cells that are sitting next to each other have relatively the same amount of juice in them, right? So if there's more juice in the one next to it, it evenly distributes the electricity that's coming from the charge into each individual battery. And that's what a really good BMS does. The less advanced BMSs don't actually distribute electricity, they just monitor electricity. Does that make
Yeah. So, but Tesla has a complicated system of doing that, right?
Tesla has not necessarily complicated, but very advanced,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because the this the systems are pretty simple to understand once you understand the methodology behind it, right? Um, but it's very advanced in the fact that they actually spend a long time making sure that it's damn near perfect before they install it, right? And then once they know that the system is damn near perfect, they replicate it, right? And that's it, right? They don't labor over each individual Tesla. They labor over the system and the method, right?
Yeah, which is good. They're like setting the stage for EVs here on out.
Well, yeah, yeah. That's what they're doing. I just got an email from Plug in America. Drive Electric Awards nomination deadline is April 30th. Help us honor leaders in the EV movement. Submit your Drive Electric Award nomination by April 30th. Now in its third year, the Drive Electric Awards honor the individuals and organizations that have made significant contributions to the adoption of electric vehicles in the United States. The opportunity to submit a nomination is a benefit for financial supporters of Plug in America. We know these difficult times for many, but if you can, please support our efforts to improve public health through cleaner air by making a gift to Plug in America. Winners will be chosen from the nominees by a committee comprised of Plug in America board members. Awards will be presented at the National Drive Electric Week launch reception on Tuesday, September 22nd in Los Angeles. Award categories: Lifetime Achievement Award, Individual Award, Organization Award, National Drive Electric Week, Drive Electric Earth Day City Captain Award, Advocate Award, Student Award, EV City Award, EV Marketing and Awareness Award. So you can give them like $3 and then nominate somebody. I don't know who you would because we don't really know a whole lot of people. There's somebody that I would nominate down in the Tri-Cities, to be honest, but yeah. I mean,
So who's that?
what? Oh, the person in the Tri-Cities? Well, I'm actually not sure if he works in the Tri-Cities or in Pullman, but as Professor Jim Jensen of the Green Energy Program at Wazoo, he and also Michael Breach and Peter Moulton from the Chamber, or not the Department of Commerce Washington Department of Commerce. Those three guys they manage the AFV tag, and not a whole lot of people realize the impact that they've had on the Washington transportation sector and the economy. Effectively, every electric transit or every um, major electric highway in Washington State, uh, I'd say, happened because of AFV tag. Um, it wouldn't. I don't believe it would have happened otherwise. Uh, the Electric Auto Association has been doing a lot in the private fleet sector, in the private EVSE installation. EVSE stands for Electric Vehicle Supply Equipment. It's the same as saying an electric vehicle charger. I'm just letting you know. Um, that's what the government calls an electric vehicle charger. They call it an EVSE. But for city governments, municipalities, tribes, counties, um, especially in the transit sector, these guys, they show where to apply for grants, um, how to apply, what other people are doing, you know, how they did that system, and how you can replicate it in your own city, your own neighborhood. Benjamin Franklin County, down just south of us, they have electric transits. Wenatchee has electric transits. I'm not sure how many, but yeah, that's a lot of that is because of AFV Tech.
Okay.
So, yeah,
We've got to get involved with that whenever we can.
yeah. I've been doing it. They only meet once every 2 months, so I was there last month for that meeting. Made a lot of good connections. Peter Moulton, he's a really cool dude. And then Jim Jensen said that he'd be willing to mentor me through the scope of work writing process to get the transits electrified in this city, the Hope Source transits, also known as Central Transit. Because you know that the city doesn't actually operate in the transits. The city owns the transits, but the people who operate the transits are Hope Source, the same people who do the veterans stuff, Veterans Training Center. Not to be confused with Kittitas County Veterans Coalition, which is out that way.
Which I'm guessing is east. No?
West. That's west.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So do you guys want to go over the agenda?
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
40 minutes in.
So there is an article that I read, and it says that Germany last month had almost a 10% share of EV sales in their automotive market. So, and I think that Germany is one of the largest automobile markets, if not the largest in Europe. So that's a promising figure.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
If we could even get like LA or Seattle or San Francisco up to 10%, it would be huge. Let me actually look up what our figures are.
So
EV market share.
something else that I should um, tack on top of that is that in the city of Los Angeles, they're looking at their second straight week of clean air, like smog-free air. And
Nice.
people there are, you know, I don't know how much for granted people are taking that, but I think a lot of people are saying, "Hey, this is probably good."
Yeah.
Mhm.
The problem with most people is that they feel helpless when it comes because they know that there's technology that will save the world, but they just think that they can't afford it. You know, they look at is, the Tesla Model S and that's like 50, $60,000, and they say I can't fucking afford that. Uh, they don't bother looking further because people always talk about the Tesla. They never really say, "Oh, this Chevy Bolt is an amazing car. This Chevy Bolt that's $30,000." Or the Tesla Model 3 that's $30,000. And they don't talk about the first generation Nissan Leaf that they got on Craigslist for $5,000,
Right.
right? If you watch Who Killed the Electric Car, which Ben you should definitely watch.
Yeah, I still need to do that.
Yeah. Do you have Amazon Video account?
Yeah, I have one I can use.
Yeah. If you go to the website, it's linked on EV101 under video. It's like 3.99, 5.99, something like that. It's really worth a watch. But when that was filmed in 2006, the average American drove 29 miles per day. I'm not
Mm.
sure that may have increased over the years, but a Nissan Leaf is perfectly fine for somebody who is driving the average, right? And I am not against somebody having two cars. They can have one car for their 29-mile average drive, and they can have another one for a long distance road trip. And I don't mind that until the time that they can actually afford a vehicle that can get 300 miles. But I will say that converting your vehicle, like I'm doing, like we're doing, you can keep costs down. You can get a 300-mile battery for, you can get the whole conversion done for under 5 grand. And so basically you're spending the same amount getting that first generation Nissan Leaf, which is admittedly a more trustworthy vehicle because somebody else built it, right? And if you don't know how to do anything on a vehicle, then you would probably trust the experts at Nissan. But if you know what you're doing, then it's fine. You're not going to kill yourself. You're not going to blow yourself up if you take the right precautions, right? If you know what you're doing, you don't have to spend more than $5,000. If you take it to a professional conversion service like EV West, you might be spending $11,000, $15,000, $20,000 for that conversion. But
Right.
even like you can, when I say $20,000, you can convert a Porsche Camaro for 20,000, a Porsche 911S, a Ferrari Tesla Rosta, you can convert for $20,000, right? So compared to the cost of the car that you already have, $20,000 is nothing, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
yeah, also on that note, the average price of a new car purchased in the U.S. is $36,718.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually think that you can get the Leaf right now with government incentives for like 24 or 25 grand.
The other problem with that is that there are a hell of a lot of people, who don't have credit scores or whose credit scores are too whack to actually get a vehicle off the line. And that includes me. I tried to get a Nissan Versa Note back in 2016. That's a $8,000 car after interest and my payment plan. It would have been $10,000. I had $2,000 in cash that I walked into the Nissan dealership with, and they said, "Your credit score is too bad, and you don't make enough money at your job." And I had a quarter of the window price in my hands, and they still denied me. So, yeah, I'm not walking away with even a $5,000 car from a dealership anytime soon. But if I pay it all up front, then I am, right? That's the only way that I can buy a car is by paying all the money up front, which is why on Craigslist I type in max price $800, because when I need a new car, that's what I do. I go into Craigslist, I say max price $800, and then I walk away with that car when I have that money in my pocket.
Yep.
I just drive. I mean, I drive away with that car. I don't walk away with it. But that's effectively why I want to build up lads, and why I think that we should really, really do stuff in lads. You know what lads is, Chase?
No, actually.
So lads is the low income access driver solution, and it's a solution for these low income drivers that um, we came up with to get low income drivers their currently owned gasoline and diesel vehicles. Will convert them on a sponsorship model, but that lads program will have to be a different nonprofit that isn't our club. It's got to be another nonprofit.
Oh yeah, you were telling me about this yesterday.
Well, that was the garage that I was talking about.
Well, you're saying when we're done with our cars that we could, give them to the lads program.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I briefly mentioned that, but I didn't realize that I hadn't touched on lads yet. But if you go to the website, I think there's a page about lads. It's under projects. Let's see. Unfortunately, when the naming convention happened, there was an oversight about the fact that lads is also uh, the acronym for a neo-Nazi gang in Los Angeles. But yeah, nobody
Well,
knew that.
I personally wasn't aware of that.
Yeah, I wasn't aware until I tried to register the URL lads.org, and then I found out it was on an FBI watch list.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, you would think lads.org would be like something weird, even if it's not neo-Nazi.
Yeah. Lads.
Yeah. So compared to that figure of Germany being almost 10% market share, 2018 we saw almost 8% market share of EVs in California. So I'm assuming now 2020 it's probably even better than that.
Yeah, I think there's definitely potential for that, especially because there's so many new EVs that are coming out or have come out recently.
And
The
the
reason,
people in LA are on board. They're, the people that have money in LA are doing it, and they're getting the Audi e-tron and that type of shit. So that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we just recently, as we've been talking about, we just recently passed the zero emissions vehicles mandate, the ZEV mandate in the state, and that's going to do a lot more to get vehicles that are only for sale in ZEV states to be for sale in this state. There are vehicles that are only for sale in those states. We'll have better access to the whole market of electric vehicles. Like, I believe we don't have access to the e-up yet. I could be incorrect about that, but having a ZEV mandate in this state will mean that somebody will be able to buy the e-up if they want.
Do we have the up at in general, just the normal one here? I don't think I've seen one.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, maybe that's just European, but
Maybe Mexico. They might have it there.
Oh yeah, maybe.
Polo. Is that the new Polo?
No,
the
it's
e-up is
different.
it's basically they took the same drivetrain from the e-Golf. So basically, they had a Volkswagen Golf, and then they had a Volkswagen electric Golf, and then so they took the same battery and drivetrain, and they put it into the Volkswagen Up. So it's called the E-Up.
Yeah, the only reason I know about the up is because of I did see a few when I was in. I saw a few, and then like the rebadged versions when I was in England, actually. But I heard about them because of Top Gear. That was the only reason I knew about them before.
Yeah. Johnny Smith, also known as Car Pervert, his YouTube channel, they just did a review of the E-Up. So it might only be a European car. But that was just an example. That was just alliterative to what the ZEV mandate does.
Yeah.
So a couple things in the last few minutes here. The last week we recapped, or we're going to recap on last week. President of EV Club seeks salon policy writer. Charging stations have been requested, I think, to be installed on campus. We discussed the CCS combined charging system and want to incorporate that into the Volvo build. And campus is closed until tomorrow. I put a question mark on that because I haven't had an update, or couldn't find an update. Are they going to extend the closing of the campus further?
I don't know yet. I don't know.
Okay.
And I should correct myself. When I said alliterative just a moment ago, I meant illustrative. But continue.
Alliterative, yeah, that would be like more poetic. Grant, we've got to do. We had 2 visitors last week, one from EAA and one from the West Side Student Lives, who left after like 5 or 10 minutes because she probably wasn't that interested.
It's West Side Student Life, LIFE.
Oh, Life, excellent.
I had actually had probably a 45-minute conversation with her last week.
Oh, cool.
About the club. I actually, to be honest, I forgot most everything we talked about. uh, but was it 45 minutes? Really? It could have been 15. I'm not sure. But oh God, all of my webinars are blending together. But
I know.
yeah, it's good to have these weekly meetings though as an anchor to my sanity. um, but yeah, we talked about. Actually, I wrote down what day. Hold on. We met on the on the 25th of March. So yeah, that was at 10 a.m. on the 25th. So it was 2 weeks ago. No, yeah, yeah, no, yeah. 2 weeks ago. Last two Wednesdays ago. We talked about the plans to and how to expand the club to the west side. Um, and yeah, she manages the West Side Student Life programs and activities, kind of like how Michael Middleton and Joe and Brandon and Lacey, they'll work in that Office of Student Involvement and Engagement on the second floor of the CERC. You know those guys? Ben's Ben's met them all. I'm pretty sure I took you down there or did I? No, that was David that I also took down. But yeah,
I may have met them. I don't remember which ones they are.
no, yeah, you did meet all of them, Ben.
Okay.
I was thinking if I took Chase down there the same
Oh,
way.
gotcha.
I don't
Ben.
think so.
Okay. Well, they're closed right now. We can't walk down there, but
We can still walk. I don't know, somewhere.
well,
Uh,
anyways, those guys, they run basically all the stuff that involves the clubs. They run the club's funds council. They run the club treasury accounts. They run the which clubs are in good status and bad status and all that stuff. And that's effectively what Michelle does over on West Side for the
yeah.
satellite campuses out there.
One thing that would be cool is doing like a EV car show or EV car meet on the west side, maybe, with the other groups that are doing it.
Yeah. So are you talking about like other EAA groups or other college groups?
Other college groups, but probably EAA as well. I mean, get as many people to turn out as we can.
Yeah. EAA is going to be a lot easier because other college groups, there aren't a whole lot, to be honest. There are not a whole lot. We're in a rare situation where we're a college chapter of the EAA, whereas a lot of colleges will have programs involved with the EAA, but the the professors who run those programs are members of the chapters in their local city where the university is, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
We're unique in the fact that we're the only chapter in this city. We're a college and we're a chapter, but I think it's good because not only are we starting something here, Russell Corbin's position was just created and he was the guy who was on our call last week. And this
Mm-hmm.
organization's been around since '67, but they haven't had college chapters. I think it's very good what we're doing. This is a proof of concept for them as well, that you can actually have an electric vehicle club as a chapter of the Electric Auto Association as well. It just makes sense, you know.
Yeah, it's
Um,
definitely a step in the right direction. So, other things that we need to just run through the list is that will Ben's going to be working on the electric bike project. We got to get involved with CAD and do a model of the Volvo. We've got to do it on Onshape, which is a free CAD website. We need to contact Electrothon team members from the past and alumni that are engineers. And then we've got to do a budget for the garage eventually and see how much we can afford. And that's all I have from last week.
so what I will do, now that you bring it up, I was just thinking about that while you were talking. I was thinking about what we were talking about before. Um, but I will reach out to Shoreline Community College, to Bergen, and to Alex Aguilar over at MIT, and see, now that we're more settled into being a club, even though we're not meeting on campus, now that we've got a full board, now that we're an actual like operating as a club, I'll reach out to these people again and see if they might still be interested in doing stuff with the Electric Auto Association, because I sent out a bunch of emails in fall quarter to the other colleges that I found with electric vehicle clubs or electric vehicle programs. There, a lot of them have died off over the years. MIT's, for example, they died in 2016, around the same time that we did. And then they're being brought back this year as well. I'm going to email Alex Aguilar and see how much progress that they've made over there. There's also a professor at the University of Montana who's really into electric motorcycles. He wants to know, he's very interested if we ever enter into Moto Student, which has an electric motorcycle circuit, or if we go into the NEDRA motorcycle circuit. He's probably the most knowledgeable professor about electric motorcycles there is, I think, because he built his own when he was a student at MIT. He had his own company for a short while, because that's basically what all of the MIT guys do, is they build their own companies. They're expected to. Something about professional identity or whatever. It's like, out here we have engineering projects for our senior project, but out there they have build your own fucking company. But
Yeah, which is good. I mean, that's how you create freaking Elon Musk type people and shit.
Right.
yeah. But yeah, I'll reach out to those guys and see if they might be more interested in doing EA stuff, because you have to understand that the SAE is the one that runs the big college electric vehicle race, and we don't have an SAE here.
Yep.
The SAE runs Formula SAE, and Formula SAE SAE-E is the electric formula race for colleges. The UW has a Formula SAE team. UT Austin as well. UT Austin are the university that invented the Formula SAE circuit, in 1987, I want to say. And it was formerly known as UT Austin SAE, now known as Longhorn Racing. They changed their name to Longhorn Racing, which is kind of the reason why I've been calling the racing team informally. I've been calling it Wildcat Racing every now and then, because I think that'd be a great brand identity for our team, Wildcat Racing.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. It might be taken, but yeah.
Yeah, might be. Which is why I haven't officially registered it in the club's database. But our closest competition, and I was showing Ben this earlier in the year, but if you go to I think it's uwformula.com, or it could be UW. Yeah. UWformula.com takes you to UWformulamotorsports.com. I guess they changed their URL. But if you go to the sponsors page, it'll show you a picture. At least it used to. I don't know about anymore. But that picture shows you that list of their sponsors. That's what we'd be up against if we went into Formula SAE. We'd be up against the UW with Boeing and Starbucks and Microsoft, Altium. Altium is a battery manufacturer.
Yeah, SAE is a extremely large and very old organization. So they've got a lot of roots.
SAE is wasn't always. I mean, prior to '87, SAE was just another college club, kind of like the IEEE. You know, even though the IEEE is big. Let me think of another example. Kind of like Mock Trial Club. You know, that's what SAE was. It was just Society of Automotive Engineers. But after 1987, they developed that entire racing circuit, you know, and now, but the circuit isn't as old as SAE, but yes, you are correct that it is entrenched in society.
Yeah, that part of it isn't that old, but I don't know how long the different parts of it have been around, but I'm subscribed to the student SAE newsletter. I have a membership. I'm not sure how much longer it lasts. Maybe I need to renew that actually. But I just got something from them, and it said since like 1911 or something, and it's pretty global, and they have a lot of it's like ways that professionals kind of interface and get different opinions and stuff. So it's a pretty big thing.
Yeah. And since I'm not in the engineering program, and I never actually cared, to be honest, before I got into electric vehicles, I didn't know what the SAE was. So, Momentum is the name of the magazine, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah, it is.
Yeah. You know, there's a magazine that EAA puts out. It's called Current Events.
Yeah, I get the email version of that now.
Hmm.
I don't think I've gotten. Oh wait, have I gotten?
There
I
is
haven't gotten one in the mail.
There is no paper magazine.
Okay.
It's an online magazine. You wonder why? Well, because paper kills trees, and the Electric Auto Association isn't about that.
Yeah. Makes sense.
Yeah. Have you gotten that email, Chase? Current Events.
No.
You
So I
should-
should sign up for it, huh?
Well, that should be going to the email that you signed up with the EAA with.
Interesting.
But yeah, the thing about Formula SAE is that we really don't have the facilities to do a car like that, and that's why any DRA is the best circuit for us right now, is because we have, as long as we get a garage and a lift kit, and I mean not a lift kit, but a lifter and like a transmission jack and the standard mechanic tools, you can have an NEDRA car. It's not that complicated of a process. Whereas a formula vehicle, you have to it's way more than an electrothon vehicle, um, because you know you have to build every part, you know,
Right.
like every part you have to design and build, and everything's a one-off. There's no, I mean, except for the tires and the radials and stuff like that, but the body, the frame, the subframe, the chassis, the, you know, where all the bolts go, you know, and that's because we don't have an automotive engineering program. Kind of like, anyways, I would be really happy if one day we did, and one day we were to enter into Formula SAE,
That'd be great.
you know, but I think we should prove ourselves in the NEDRA circuit first. You know? And if you want some inspiration, search the White Zombie. I was just talking about this with Neil Dunlop from Kia. We talked last week on Saturday. Actually, no, Friday. Saturday, Friday. We talked for an hour, and suddenly the conversation got into Dadsons, and I was like, because I was like, yeah, we have a. Or he said that he really liked the old Datsun, and then I was like, yeah, we have a Datsun 240Z out here. We actually have two. One belongs to Nick Mejia. He's the ASVP for student something,
Okay.
student life, I want to say, and then there's another one around campus. But the White Zombie was built on a Datsun 520, I want to say, and that thing smoked. I mean, if you look up the stats on that, just watch that thing move. Just watch it move. It is that, and I saw one of those videos when I was in high school, and that thing has still been in my mind this whole time. Before I ever heard of Tesla, before I ever heard of converting an electric vehicle, before I even knew what people were talking about when they were talking about electric vehicles, I knew what the White Zombie was, though, for some reason, because what I saw a video of it smoking other cars. It did a burnout, and then it smoked a Mustang after, you know, Corvette after Ferrari. It just fucking pounded them. And I remember this VHS that one of my teachers put in the thing that they recorded from the night before, and they said, this is what you can do with electricity. And I never really like thought about it more than that, but I remembered the name White Zombie because it's a great name, great fucking name. It stuck, and I saw it going fast. Anyways, that's what I think we should do with our YouTube channel. is to create content, because what that racing team had is they had their own videographer, their own cinematographer on their racing team. They had a dedicated person who made videos. And that's why everyone knows the name White Zombie. Even Johnny Smith, the guy who made the E-Up video that I was just talking about, when he did his first electric vehicle conversion, he thanked the people who made the White Zombie for inspiring him. And he got the land speed record in Europe. The White Zombie had the land speed record in America. Right? Johnny Smith made a vehicle called the Flux Capacitor. That's why he's famous originally, and then he just got further involved in the electric vehicle community, even though he's a regular car journalist rather than just electric vehicles. But he also isn't. He also appreciates and advocates for electric vehicles. But yeah, that White Zombie, definitely check that out.
Yeah, for sure. And I don't know if we have a film program at our school, but I'm sure we can find a student that's good with video.
All of this, this is one thing that I did earlier this year. The film students at this school are not people that I would approach at all, because they all want money and they all demand way much more than they're worth. Definitely. They're fucking students, and they're asking for $100 and like per prod. No, go fuck yourself. Go fuck yourself. I'm not paying you for a college club YouTube video. We want good content, but I'm not gonna fucking pay you. Go fuck yourself. Anyways, that's my approach. If we have enough money, sure. But we don't have any goddamn money. We're not getting paid from these videos. Until the day that we do, we can't actually pay. And somebody should, if they're gonna make videos for us, somebody should realize that up front, you're not gonna get paid. If you want to get paid, make good fucking content, market yourself, market the club, market the channel, get people interested, get people involved, and get people to give us money.
Yeah. That's a big key thing, is getting the name out there and doing all that. If you can raise funds, you can, have a good resume and be part of the club.
Yeah. That's how, essentially every member of a racing team should be getting paid. But since we are first not a sport club, we're an academic club right now. And B, we haven't won anything. We're not going to get paid until we do. That's the honest truth. We're not going to get sponsorships until we win something. And that's unfortunately the way of the world, even though it doesn't make any sense to me, because why like when you're sponsoring somebody, it's kind of like doing the stock market. You're anticipating that they're going to do well, but isn't it much more of a better investment if you come in right at the beginning stages in anticipation, and it's an investment. You're investing and anticipating that the team will smoke everyone else. And the more money you put down, the better products we can get, That's in my mind if I was a billionaire, that's what I would do, you know. And I wanted to get into racing. I would say I want to find a fresh racing team like this, and so I'll begin from the ground up, you know. But that's not how racing really works. Racing works where you have to kill yourself and kill yourself and kill yourself, and possibly even literally kill yourself until you win, and then you win, and then it gets easier to win. You know.
Yeah. Well, gentlemen, I think I need to go eat lunch.
Same here before my dentist appointment.
Okay. Well,
What time's your appointment at? 2:30?
Yeah.
how did you get a dentist appointment?
2:30?
It's slight. Well, they only took emergencies, but my bridge fell out, so there's currently a missing tooth. So I got to go get that taken care of.
Well, good luck, buddy.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let me know if you guys need anything. We'll meet up. Yeah, we should meet up this week and do more podcast stuff.
Okay. Yeah. Cool. And Joe we're gonna talk soon, I hope, about batteries. So, or he's gonna record something about batteries. One of the two.
All right.
Okay. And then
see you guys.
Sorry. I have to interview Neil Dunlop again, because what happened last time was I called him on the phone, but the app that I used didn't record any of the conversation, even though it was an app that records conversations. It didn't record the conversation. So yeah, I DM'd the software programmers behind it, and I'm like, is this recording sitting somewhere that I don't have access to? Because all I have is an hour and 5 minutes of static. But yeah, so I'm gonna have to interview him again after I get the transfer gone through in my bank account, so that I can actually buy professional Zoom or professional Microsoft Teams, something like that.
Okay.
And then I can actually call people from the software.
Sure.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So.
All right. Well, progress, not perfection.
Yeah. For sure.
Okay.
Okay. Have a good day, guys.
Cool.
Yeah.
You too.
Good
Talk
luck
to
at
you
the
later.
dentist.
Thank you.
All right.